Good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Today is Tuesday, May 20th. 20th. That's kind of a weird one. May 20th. There. Now we've got the lighting. Now we've got the mood. Right. Well, so good morning, fellow humans. Colorful nuts. HUEMONDS. So here we are once again, where our goal is to help our students. And we should all have the orientation that we are a student, not that we are a master. We're a student. We're here to learn. Our students and interested people on their journey through this life. Wrong. That's the old idea. The new idea is to help our students and interested people experience this life. Experience this once in eternity manifestation of where we are. You can only step into the same river. You can never step into the same river twice. Okay, so our theme of today is what? The most important decision. What is that? What is the most important decision? Well, we're going to find out about that. Also, it is day 2 in week 1 of our neuroscience approach to success. We're going to be talking about IQ. Yesterday, we talked about brain scans. We talked about how easy it is to damage the brain. And then if you have brain damage, the good is it can be repaired to an extent. Maybe completely, maybe almost completely, but because the brain is plastic, okay, it has the ability to, you could say, relearn, the ability to recreate neural networks. It's very malleable. Let's hear you say that 5 times. So the idea being, if we know how our brain works, then we have the ability, seems awfully yellow. If we know how our brain works, if we know how our brain works, then we have the ability to dial in who we need to be right now and 5 minutes from now. So, yesterday, Daniel Amen, brain scans, easy to damage the brain. The brain can be repaired through a brain smart program. And this is a brain smart program. Right, it's a brain smart program. Next, today, IQ. We're going to learn a little bit about IQ from Jordan Peterson. And what else do we have on our hit parade? So the worksheet, our worksheet. So advice from an 80-year-old. Do not pray for easier lives, pray to be stronger. Do not pray for an easier life, pray to be stronger. But again, our themo, the most important decision, that is Seth Godin. What is the most important decision? Seth Godin. And then we've got a whole bunch of other stuff. Darren Hardy, not red letter, but the millionaire's secret routine, the secret resource. What's the secret resource of millionaires? Their associations. Darren Hardy goes on to say, the 5 people you hang out with the most will influence you the most. Hang out with 5 hardworking people, you'll be the 6th. 5 smart people, you'll be the 6th. 5 successful people, you'll be the 6th. 5 Dum-dums, you'll be the sixth. It's your associations. That's the key. Okay, wrap that one up quickly, didn't we? All righty then. Let us see. Okay, let's talk about Seth Godin and our themo-memo of today. The most important decision is what? This is where we should have what, not a bevy on. Or, forgot to say good morning, Miss Trinkle, wherever you are. Good morning, Miss Trinkle. Seth Godin. The most important decision is what? What should I do next? What should I do next? Not next year or for the rest of my life, right now. The apparently trivial choice, whether or not to open an email, make a phone call, or stand up to stretch. The endless list of options, some not even consciously considered, that we work through 1,000 times a day. Sum them up, and these millions of tiny decisions become the life we've chosen. One next at a time. Right. That is true. And so it could be possible that the fewer choices we have, better it is. Don't think about, do I want to sleep in for an hour today? Do I want to stay up late and watch a movie? Don't give ourselves those choices. And it turns out when you raise kids, that's kind of exactly what you do. You have a routine, right? Here's our nightly routine. We do this. We don't think about doing anything else because we have a plan, right? And if we think about doing something else, that's what deviating from the plan. Right. Okay. What else? Okay, IQ. So again, yesterday we learned about the brain. It's the consistency of soft butter. It's easy to damage and can be damaged. Mainly, there's 5 typical ways it's damaged: drugs, alcohol, traumatic brain injury, disease, and something growing on it. And it's important to know the shape your brain is, but it's also important to keep using your brain every day. Use your brain. Not just for new stuff, but to review stuff from the past. That's why it's good to have photo albums, right? And look at them and remember that. Remember what was on them. Okay, but today is IQ. What is the importance of IQ? So how are we doing for time? Okay, good. So Jordan Peterson says there's 2 types of IQ. Well, he starts by saying all of these things are IQ tests. The SAT, LSAT, GMAT, ASVAB, all of those are IQ tests. And then he says there's fundamentally, the way it looks to him is there's 2 types of IQ. Crystallized and fluid. Crystallized IQ. So I would describe crystallized IQ as like the bucket. It's like a bucket where what we learn, what we know, fills up the bucket. And IQ tests are like rings around the bucket at different stages. And when you are this age, you should be at that level. Or if you want to get into college, depending upon what college you want to go to, you need to be at a higher level. It's things that you know. It could be facts, it could be formulas, etiquette. When you want to go in the military, you take the ASVAB. here's the high and low, right? So those scores are different rings around the bucket. You want to go to graduate school, you need to know this amount to go to graduate school. And it kind of works out that what you know is a function of a lot of things, one of which is how much time you spend learning. How much time you spend processing information and data and then put it in your brain in a usable manner. If you sit around watching TV, watching Gilligan's Island all day, you will not do well on the SAT. Why? Because you weren't filling your brain with the stuff that is going to be on the SAT test, the stuff that you need to know in order to be successful in college or in the military or whatever. Okay, so the first type is the bucket, crystallized IQ. Now, I do describe fluid IQ, that's the other type of IQ, as like a pump. So it's gathering information, processing it, and putting it into a bucket. Jordan Peterson will say they're not different things, but he'll say one leads to the other. So you could fill the bucket, and then you could turn off the pump, and what's in the bucket still remains, but you're not going to get new knowledge. So that might be described as these old 60s era pothead guys that they're kind of cool guys. They know every song from the 70s, but they can't learn anything new. They're not employable. They can't learn new tasks. And Jordan Peterson would say, because the fluid IQ is damaged. The pump is broken. So people that are really, really smart have a really good pump, tend to have a really good pump. They can, or as Nolan Bushnell would say, their brain works very fast. The speed of their brain works faster, so they get through it quicker than other people. And then they get good at storing it in such a way that they can retrieve it in a practical manner. But Nolan would say the difference is very, very slight between the processing power of your brain. The difference is how you see it. So in other words, if by the third grade you start noticing you're not one of the smart kids, then you start self-identifying as not smart. So that when you're in the sixth grade, you don't really try because you believe you're not smart. And then by the ninth grade, it's like, what's the point? I can just start smoking reefer and I'll be one of the cool people because I'm not cool in class. When we're in class, I'm not really cool because I'm not one of the smart kids. I don't finish the test first. I don't do good. Well, Nolan would say that's because you have way back there, you stop putting in the time. It doesn't matter if your brain works a little bit slower. That means you just need to work a little bit longer. So Nolan's approach to education is no grades, no grades. So there's no first, second, third grade, and there's no A, B, C, D, F. It's here's the information you need to learn. Boom. However long it takes you to learn that, that's how long it takes you to learn it. If you want to put in the time and learn it fast, good on you, mate. If you want to go slow, that's okay too. But we're not grading you that here's what you need to know each year, or each year, and here's the stuff you need to know. We're not doing it that way anymore. We're doing it by here's what you need to learn, and you figure out, or however long it takes you to learn it, it's how long it takes you to learn it. And the good news about that approach is what? You learn the material. Versus in our current system, you get you get pushed on to the next grade, whether you learned it or not, or you've learned enough to go to the next grade, but you haven't really mastered the domain to the level that's required. Okay, so IQ, that's what it is. It's the bucket. Now, over time, you could develop leaks in the bucket. That comes back to Daniel Amen, right? There's a hole in the bucket. Things are draining out because I had a traumatic brain injury. My bucket is damaged from alcohol, drugs, traumatic brain injury. Something's growing on it. There's rust at the bottom. It's leaking out, or there is disease. So that causes the liquid in the bucket, or whatever's in the bucket, to drain out. So what do we need to do? Brain Smart program. Get the pump working. Reactivate the pump. Reactivate the pump. Fix the pump. Get the pump working. We need to get the pump working, because if we don't get the pump working, eventually the bucket will be dry. And that will be bad. Well, let's say it'll be below the line that we need it to be. And that will be bad. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, every job has an IQ range. Every job has an IQ range. So here's the minimum you need to know to be able to do the job. Here's the upper limit to be able to do the job. It's important to know your IQ, and it's important to know the IQ range of the job you're looking for. Because if you get a job and your IQ is down here, the job is going to look really, really hard to you. It's going to be frustrating. And you are going to look like the dummy to everyone else. So they're going to be putting on you, man, you screwed up again. So when you go home at night, you're going to be saying, why am I doing this? Now, there are a lot of successful people. They come in here and they say, I'm going to work to learn the job. I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to learn that job. Boom. They do that. And then they go to another job. And they go constantly ratchet themselves up. But for us mere mortals, if we get a job that's here, really hard, frustrating, we're the idiot. We get a job here, it looks boring to us. Boring. And everyone else that's there looks what? Stupid. Now, what if our IQ is here? It's above the requirement. This is where a lot of people say, I'm overqualified for the job. Well, probably not. Probably they decided that you're not fit because you're here, even though you could choose to act here. You could bring yourself down to the level of the job and do the job the best you can, as the Stoics would say. If you're going to be a janitor, be the best janitor, as opposed to saying, man, this is a stupid job. Okay, so what if your IQ is up here? Well, what tends to happen is you start figuring out ways to make the job more efficient, more better, how to change the job. Well, the problem is what you just did is you moved the job like that. So that meant that the people that were down here are now down there. These people can't do it. That's why they don't like change in places like prison and places where minimum wage people work. Yeah, it could be a lot more efficient by doing this. Bonk. Well, it could be a lot more efficient. What happened? These people can no longer do the job. So we have to keep it like this. You're here. And then plus, if it's like this and you're coming up with new ideas, your boss is probably going to say, we're not paying you to be a consultant and make this a better job. We're paying you to do the job. So if you can't do the job, you got to go. Okay, I've got to wrap it up. Here's the thing about IQ. Know your IQ. Down below, he talks about the test. Number one, know your IQ and know the IQ of the job you're looking for. So you can go on ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc., and get the IQ range for any job today. Really simple. We're going to wrap it up. That's 20 minutes. You'll never get back. Goodbye. Bink.